hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, how y'all doing? Welcome to the Paranormal Portal once again. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. That's I know that part for sure. I know that I'm here to entertain you. What's up, kids? Another rainy day in Maryland. That's what Carolyn's saying. Supposed to be a beautiful weekend, though. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is a beautiful weekend. It's always a beautiful day here on the Paranormal Portal, right? I don't know. It is for me. I really do always look forward to this time of day. It's always incredible and heartwarming to see everybody come together to listen to the sound of my voice, which I don't think I'll ever get used to completely, but it is an honor. And I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. We kind of hit a milestone recently. We did pass that 7,000 mark, and it's been picking up again since then. You know, I mean, the thing with YouTube is kind of weird. It's like, you know, you'll get this flood, these spurts of subs, and then they'll like disappear, and then you'll get some more, and then some of those will disappear, and it's like this hills and valley thing. And if you're a person, like when I first started the channel, I was manic about watching that number. I was just like refresh, just looking to see everything that came in, and it started just driving me nuts, because it'd be like for instance, when we were getting towards our first 100 subscribers. Now, obviously that seems just silly. It's 100 subscribers, but you know, we started with nothing, and we really built this largely on our own. We didn't have, you know, a lot of echoes and people out there going, here, let me, you know, point you to this channel. It was an incredible time, but it was like every sub was a celebration, like, yes. But what would happen was, and I've noticed this on every one of these milestones, it still happens today. It gets to be like, you get to like 98, and then you go down to 95. It's like, no. Then 96, and then 94. And what I think is going on is that, you know, I think there's good accounts out there, and there's not good accounts. And I think YouTube's always sweeping out some of those fake accounts, or, you know, duplicate accounts or inactive accounts. And so that's where some of those numbers disappear to. At least that's what I hope. Otherwise, there's a lot of people that are like, that are bailing every once in a while, but it is what it is. But yeah, we passed the 7,000 mark. Thank you to all of you for making that happen. Again, in the grand scheme of YouTube, that's a very small number, but it's huge for us. And we really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who spread the word and helped bring people in the door. That's exciting. But these are the Night Terrors. These are shorter format shows. We deal primarily with ghostly encounters on these, just because of all of the subjects out there, the easiest one to talk about is ghostly encounters, because there's so many people have ghost encounters and have had, either somebody's had it or they know someone that has, you know, and so everybody's got a story. And so it's easy to find things to talk about for these episodes, because there's just cajillions of things out there, and, you know, lots and lots of people. So that's what we do on this shows. Again, you know, the Friday, Saturday, and Wednesday are 2-hour shows, but Thursday and Sunday are the Night Terrors. So thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope to keep you entertained throughout the duration of it. Also, the phone line is open, as always, here on the portal. So if you want to be a part of the show, you can simply call in if you got a paranormal experience of your very own. And it doesn't have to be ghostly. It can be whatever, you know, whatever you want to talk about paranormally. But you can call in at 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. Those are the numbers for fun right here on the portal. And I'll keep watching as best I can to watch for those call-ins. But great to see you guys. Lots of you coming in. That's wonderful. and the numbers always keep climbing. But I guess on the front end, that's all I got. So I hope you're ready, because it's time for bed. All right, here we are. It's time to roll. And as such, I have a bunch of stories pulled up for you guys to keep you hopefully entertained, as I said. I got an advertisement on my browser here with a jewelry. I don't know what that is. I have not been looking for jewelry for a long time. So I don't know what that's all about, but I guess it's a cycle JTV. God, that sounds like it's a scam right already, doesn't it? All right. So anyway, I don't know, just the weird stuff that happens here on my computer. Let me move that out of the way. Okay. So the first story tonight is coming out of Utah, and it has to do with a haunted life. And generally, those stories tend to be a lot of different experiences throughout a period of time in this person's life, or the whole life, as the case may be. It's not a long story, though, so let's see what this person's been through. It says, I live in a small town in the middle of Utah and have since I was only 3 years old. A few years ago, I moved to a house a couple of miles away, but still in the same town. My entire life, I had some ESP gifts, for lack of a better word, and I didn't know it was unnatural until I was about 8. What do you mean unnatural? See, I don't know why people think that. That's, I think that those abilities are absolutely natural. I think they are a birthright. They are a part of, our being spirits in our own right. I don't think those things are natural at all, but I suspect, some people look at it from, it's not, from a religion, so it can't be good. But I couldn't disagree more. But anyway, it says, just last summer, I was invited to hang out with a few friends. I have several anxiety disorders, so sometimes it's so hard to differentiate between a panic attack and whisperings of some kind. Being a warm summer night, I declined all offers for a ride home and just walked. It was only a mile, good 80 degrees and a full moon, so this was a mistake. It turned into I turned onto a street without any lights on it. It's Utah. These sorts of things aren't normally disconcerting. And the wind picked up along with my anxiety. As I rounded another bend, I began to see lights around the corner and let it flood my eyes with anticipation. Well, I approached it almost thirstily. Thirstily. Wow. But when I got to it, it went out. I walked to the next one, and it went out too. Light after light went out, until one light that usually did, but this light stayed on, and I could hear deep laughing. Suddenly I knew Latin. Oh, I have a gift for languages, but who would have expected that? And begged it to leave me alone. Tears came to my eyes, and I covered my face, and when I moved my hands, the wind had stopped, and the lights had all turned on. But the laughter was still there. And so was a shadow that didn't belong to me. It was an old, frail man with a walking stick. And I could hear the walking stick, and I sprinted home, but only succeeded in hurrying along with the speed of the walking stick. Well, I got home and slammed my door shut. It couldn't follow me. But now I'm afraid to go out again. Nobody else has had any experiences like this in my neighborhood. That's really weird. Again, there are those people that swear that lights do that, that they experience that. And again, I think that it could be a very real phenomena that people experience, where when they come along and the lights just turn off. People just swear that every time they drive on the road, the lights seem to turn off more often than not. And that's, I think, could be a very real phenomenon. And I think it has a lot to do with, people that have a wildly unfocused energy fields that may cause problems. But I think that in and of itself may be a problem because, if your energy field is that out of whack and it's affecting things around you, then that means it's not doing what it should be doing, within your body. So I think that's, and I'm not laughing because I think that that's funny, but it's just, it's kind of, I think it's really important to make sure, that you meditate. If that happens to you, start meditating, start focusing on your energy, because energy imbalances, I believe, and this is kind of out there, take it or leave it, but I think energy imbalances can, lead to disease. They can lead to problems with our body. And oddly enough, last time I talked about this, Pharmacy Seeds Network, one of the mods called in, and he talked about a friend of his who had this happen, and he witnessed it. So I mean, it's a very real thing, and I believe it is. But he said that, I brought up the point that about the energy field, and he said, it's funny because that friend now has cancer, and it's like, oh man, that's so. I don't know that the one and two are related. I mean, it's a leap to suggest that, and I'm not suggesting otherwise. But what if they're not? What if that is very much true? I grew up with a lot of esoteric traditions, so that's kind of what I was always taught, is that, our bodies are the reflection or the manifestation of our energy. And what happens with our bodies is probably directly related to what's going on with us energetically. There's a book out there, Heal Yourself by Louise Hay. It's pretty powerful stuff. She offers a whole host of maladies that people may have and diseases and stuff, and then she gives you focus, meditation focuses to and mantras to tell yourself to help bring that into alignment. And I don't know, I've heard that some people responded very well to that, heal your body or heal yourself. I can't remember the exact words, the exact title. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's just the way I was growing up. I'm sharing it with you. Take it or leave it. I know it doesn't fit with a lot of our Western sensibilities, but it's very real. Now, the other point from this story that I think is really interesting is this person talking about anxiety attacks. I had a close friend that I believed was very sensitive, very empathic, and dealing with those things. Always believed that they were, but they were like severely, almost crippled to leaving their home. Like, to them, it was the most horrible thing. They never wanted to leave. They just wanted to stay in their home. And they just said, I don't know what's wrong, but every time I go out, I have these panic attacks. I just have this overwhelming anxiety and stuff. And I was like, maybe that's not yours. Maybe it's not yours. And maybe that's something you need to work on, because I think that what's happening is that whenever people that are very empathic go out, and especially in crowded places, they're flooded. I mean, they're flooded with everybody's energy around them. And it's hard to know. It's hard to know where it comes from, because it just manifests as this, incredible rush of anxiety and stress. And, there's fear, there's sadness, and all these things that wash over them, and they just become crippled. And so that's why, that's, my light's just dimmed. But that's why, some people have such problems with that. But I think it's, if people experience that, if any of you experience that, ask yourself if you could be an empath, and the stress that you're feeling is not your own. You're feeling everyone else's stuff. But the problem is, this is all coming to you unfiltered. It's just a flood. So if you believe you might be empathic, I would suggest that you really work on meditating. You really work on developing shielding techniques, things like that. And again, we're talking energetically. So for those of you out there like, what shielding? What are you, the Star Trek Enterprise? And I realize that it sounds really, really corny, but I really believe this stuff. I really do. So try to learn how to protect yourself. And sometimes it can be as simple as just holding, having a specific crystal, having a specific medallion, or meditating, or something of that effect, or just a mental image of a shield around you, a glowing light that protects you, things like that. But I don't know. I know it's not necessarily the scope of the show, being a paranormal show, but I think it's all important. It's all interrelated, and you can't really discuss one without at least addressing some of the other, because it's all having to do with energy. And so I think that's very interesting. But yeah, very cool. The apparition with the walking stick, that's creepy. The laughter, that's creepy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't blame the person for not wanting to leave home, but I think that this person is very receptive, and they do know that they have ESP gifts, as they said. I think we all do. I don't think it's unique to any one individual, but what seems to be unique to some people is the amount that they're aware of it. Some people are just born with that awareness, and other people have to really develop it. And some people will never even touch it, and then you get into the argument, are there NPCs? This idea that there's non-player characters out there. It's a video game reference to computer-generated figures that you run across in a game. And there's many people that believe in the simulation theory, that believe that there are people all around that really aren't people in the traditional sense. They don't really have the divine light or the soul or whatever. They're just here to perform a function, and that could be. I don't pretend to know. That's way out of my pay grade personally, but maybe that's true. Maybe there are those out there too. But anyway, I guess if you're a serious empath, you should probably try to find an NPC to get hooked up with, because if they don't have all that stuff going on, they may be your best companion. So, just some thoughts, and I got a lot of thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I bought myself a microphone, so I could share them with you. All right, let's get to the next one, and the next one is coming from Montana. This is coming from your neck of the woods, Duke. This is a long one too. This one's going to take a little bit, but has to do with haunted places. Wonder if it's Coloma. Could it be Coloma? I don't know. Let's see. 4 years ago, I made the decision to return to the Billings area. I had literally left all my furniture and personal belongings, my clothing, computer, and my previous residence out of state, with my former roommates, until such a time that I would be able to find a new home and haul everything. Well, I'd spent months couch surfing while trying to find a rental that would suit my needs, with enough room for all of my belongings. In a strange twist of fate, I happened to be visiting a friend at her place of employment when a fella came in complaining about tenants of his that had abandoned his rental property. that's not. I mean, that can be a lot of reasons, but you gotta definitely think, God, why did people ditch that place? Was it haunted? But anyway, abandoned his rental property in the middle of the night with no notice or reason given. The house happened to be only a few blocks up from my friend's employment, facing south on one of Billings' busiest streets, and I immediately made an appointment to see the house after learning the size and rental rate, which was really a bargain. I found the house to be very interesting and charming. What struck me most was the contrast between this house and the neighboring homes. The houses on either side were small ranch-style homes, probably dating in the 60s, and this house is a small Dutch colonial style with one story and many details adorning the facade. Well, I got the impression that someone had put forth a lot of time and effort to personalize this home. It also seemed apparent that this house was probably one of the oldest existing homes on the block. The interior was amazingly in great shape. Much of the original fixtures were intact, along with all original doors and windows. The fireplace was original and unchanged. The only real change had been to the kitchen, where a very damaged and run-down carpet had been installed. The previous tenants had done an extremely sloppy job painting and stenciled designs on the original breakfast nook benches. I was impressed and immediately took the rental. Sorry about the backstory, but after the odd experiences that have happened in this house, I feel that everything is relevant. The house consists of 3 bedrooms, 2 on the main floor and 1 in the basement, living room, formal dining room, large kitchen, and 1 bathroom. The first months in the house were uneventful. My furniture was hauled. I began repainting the interior and exterior, and I decided to put a vinyl floor in the kitchen and tear up the carpeting, as well as paint the breakfast nook a solid color. When I was putting the finishing touches on the paint job and cleaning up all the mess from the flooring, was the first time I smelt what I can only describe as a very floral smelling perfume. I smell that in this house all the time. The smell was very disgustingly sweet and overwhelming, but not necessarily bad. The smell would occur frequently sometimes, very strong sometimes, and sometimes only a pale scent. And always while I seemed to be doing some sort of the housework chore, such as dusting, cleaning windows, and even on a couple of occasions while mowing the front yard. The strange sense, of which I couldn't find any explanation, seemed harmless enough and really never lasted more than a few seconds, so in time, I just learned to ignore it. I'd been in the house for about 4 months when, due to a mutually beneficial decision, a friend of mine became my roommate, and in the chaos that usually follows a move, the living room and kitchen were filled with boxes and various items stacked until it could be organized. I'd gone to bed leaving my roommate in the living room by herself, and I was awakened by a knock on my bedroom door, and when I answered, no one was there. I walked down the hallway and looked into the living room, finding my roommate sitting on the corner of the couch looking kind of stunned. I asked her what she wanted and why she knocked on my door, and she explained that she had just seen a dark shadow that seemed to leave the kitchen and go down the hallway towards our bedrooms. She then told me that not only had she knocked on my bedroom door, but she was feeling creeped out about walking down that hallway to go to her own room at that moment. Several other guests in the house had claimed to see a shadowy figure in that hallway. Usually it was a friend staying the night and sleeping on the couch who would claim to see this after everyone else went to bed. One had reported smelling the perfume and feeling as if being watched while in the bathroom. That's a little creepy. On several occasions, items that had been left sitting on tables, such as keys or wrappers, would be mysteriously missing or moved. Once a full bottle of soda had been left on the kitchen counter, had been moved to the dining room table. The dining room seems to be a room of interest for whatever is happening in this house. It is a room that is seldom used and is off to the side of the living room. There's really no reason to go into that room, as access to the kitchen is through an archway that leads to the hall, then straight into the kitchen. I had salvaged an antique chandelier and hung it above the dining table, and the chandelier always seemed to turn itself on during the night. I had originally questioned if I had wired it correctly, or perhaps the dimmer switch was faulty, but however, the wiring was checked and the switch replaced twice. Still, it seems the moment you leave the living room and return, the chandelier is on in the dining room. Also, anytime we've set the table to use that room, the drapes, which are generally left open, are always found closed. Yeah, that's someone wants to be part of the plans, apparently. The closest door, or the closet doors in my roommate's room, are always found open, even after closing them minutes before. The drapes in my bedroom are also found open on occasion. The basement bedroom is usually used as storage, and twice I've allowed friends who needed a place to stay utilize that room, but both friends, one male and one female, have told me they have not slept well in that room, and both experienced various medical problems during their stay at my house. That's not good. Some people who have been to my house say that they feel strange while others think it's homey and comfortable. My dogs never go into the dining room or down the basement stairs, and I have never felt afraid here. I've been unable to find out much about the history of the house, though. I just rationalize it myself by assuming that someone who lived here once loved this house and did put forth a lot of effort into making it a home. I refer to her as our housekeeper. We only get bothered if things are out of place or she is curious. Given the formal nature of the house, perhaps she leaves the dining room light on in the evenings because she thinks we should eat our dinners in there. I've decided that I won't use the storage room as a bedroom anymore. I don't feel afraid of whatever's going on in there, but I often half expect to see our housekeeper one of these days. Yeah, that's a weird one. And I think the interesting takeaway of that is that there are sometimes people that will just trigger things in a house. And I suppose it's not much different than, any of us when you meet people. Some people you like, some people you're kind of, neutral about. And then there's every once in a while people that you just don't like, and it's hard to know why. But and I know everybody's experienced this. You meet somebody, it's just like you don't even have to say more than 3 words, and God, that person rubs me wrong, and it's hard to know why. I've experienced that a bunch of times, and it's I usually pay attention to those things because some part of me is picking up something that's probably a waving a red flag. Other times I've stupidly ignored those inner dialogues and gone on to try to embrace these people and ended up with a lot of problems. But I think that if spirits were indeed living people, then they're the same as us. So sometimes you meet people you don't like. Sometimes you don't want certain people in your house, and that's just human nature. And that human nature doesn't end just because the flesh falls away. It's these are still allegedly the same people they were in life, or at least a part of them. And it depends on what you feel about the whole life after death, what that means or what that details. But if it's not the whole person, it's at least a part of a person. And if that part of the person will probably just carry on like the person did in life. Anyway, I don't know. I'm kind of up on soapboxes tonight, I guess. I hope you guys don't mind. I don't know. I like to share the other parts, the other parts of my thoughts. I could just sit here and read you stories, and you could just take that. And there's many channels that do that, and they do a great job. And I'm not, casting any aspersions at anybody, but I just like to have the dialogue. I like to talk about these things because my journey in the paranormal is to understand. And so I like to put those things out there. Good soap. That was because I'm on the soapbox. Thanks. Well, I hope you guys don't mind that. It's just I like to have the conversation. I like to try to get somewhere with everything that I read, like connect some dots or make something make sense of things that don't right now. We like listening. Thanks, Brent. Thank you, Kirsten. I appreciate that. I always have to be careful. Is it Kristen or Kirsten? So I apologize. I don't like to get names wrong. And if you listen to the show over any period of time, you'll hear me brutalize names, especially from other countries that I'm not familiar with. Or just Oregon. I tend to beat up Oregon, and it's not intentional. It's just my Midwestern palate. That's Oregon. All my life, it was Oregon until I moved out here. That's Oregon. So I'm learning, though. I'm really working on it, just so you know. Making it flow. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Mr. Rogers reading ghost stories and then doing a breakdown on them afterwards. Hey, who doesn't love Mr. Rogers, right? Thank you, Duke, for that little peanut gallery. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Native American names, too. They can be tough. I think of all of the stories that I covered, the ones I cringe at the most, and it's no disrespect to the culture or the people, but it's Iceland. Iceland, to me, is just whenever I see that come up, it's like, oh, God. Because there's going to be words. I have no idea how to put those sounds together. I don't know what those little dots and crap mean. I don't know. So I'm like, stop. And I'm not making fun of Iceland or its culture. I'm just making fun of my attempts to form those into sounds and words. So if you stick around, if you haven't heard it yet, you will after a while. We always bump into those sooner or later. So, what time is it? All right. So, yeah. Just continuing on here. Hey, I'm Cat. Good to see you, brother. I've missed you. Where you been? I'll expect to see that permission slip on my desk before the end of the show. I don't want your absences to be unexcused, All right, let's continue on. We got more to cover. But yeah, I'll often just go into thoughts. Mandarin Chinese. I'm sure Mandarin Chinese is tough. Ni hao. I don't know. That's about all I know. Ni hao ma. I don't know a whole bunch of Chinese. I don't know a whole lot of anything. Hell, I hardly know English a lot of times. But I do my best. You get what you pay for. Just remember that. All right, so that's a cool story, though. I don't think that presence is disrupting, really. It's just a presence that's there. Again, she calls it the housekeeper, so it's like she's found a good balance with it. Acknowledging the presence, acknowledging, it has a right to be there. And again, some people don't think that the the formerly living have any business being here. But why? Who decides that? You know, this could be very much a part of their process. If they're not ready to transition, where the hell are they supposed to go? And if they're not being evil or trying to suck out your soul, if they're just hanging out, being a part of your world, then and it doesn't freak you out, then let them stay. Find a balance, find peace. I don't know. I don't understand where people come up with that. It's like, well, they're not supposed to be here. Well, where the hell are they supposed to be exactly? So, and again, people will dive into religious examples, and maybe that's right, maybe it's not. There's so many. The other part of it is again, I don't like to dive too deeply into religion because I really respect everybody's right to believe what they want, whatever resonates with them. To me, religion is like the divine is this huge garden, and around this garden there's these gates, this barrier, and we keep looking for a gate that has signs on it, and when you find the sign you can read, then you can go in. And there's a lot of religions that I don't understand. There's some that I do, and each way is like a gate, but they all lead to the same place. In my opinion, this is my humble opinion. Take it or leave it, discard it, whatever. But they all have different ideas, and some are similar, some are very similar, and some are very different. But which one's right? Well, if you ask the people of the faith, they are, and it's that way of every religion. So. Maybe they are. Maybe they're all right. Maybe they're all wrong. Who knows? I guess only God will tell us eventually. But what if they're all right? Then it's just right for the individual. It's where they're at, but none better or worse than the other. But we just don't know what happens on the other side of this life in our bodies, and maybe they are supposed to be here. Maybe they do get some time to work on things before they make that transition. Maybe they need that time. Maybe their life was really tough and they're not ready to transition yet. We don't know. So that always sets me back a little bit. Now, if they're being hurtful and damaging, hell yeah, they got to go. And it doesn't matter where they go, but they need to go somewhere. So, and that's a whole nother can of worms, but we'll save that for another show. But I like that story. I think that was really cool, and it's neat to find an equilibrium if you have a ghostly presence, if it's not disruptive or trying to cause harm or damage to people or the property, then yeah, I think it's kind of neat. But that's me. Those are my 2 cents. But the next one is coming from Hawaii. Oh, this is from that author, that submitter that has sent in others. She's a psychic and has had some really neat things. So I looked at the title of this one. I was like, oh, God, do I want to read this? But I think I do. And I'm glad I picked it because I have enjoyed this person's experiences when they've submitted them a lot. And let's see what's next. It has to do with a naked ghost. So I don't know what that means, but we'll find out together. It says, a few nights ago, I experienced something very strange. I just entered the living room from the stairwell leading down from the 3rd floor. Coming around the corner, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. A naked creature was standing on my front porch, and it surprised me. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. It should surprise everyone to see something naked on your porch. It's been a while since I've seen nudity in a supernatural entity. He was fleshy, pink, and pudgy. I would describe him as fat, bald, miniature person, but his features were distorted and overly large. It really affected my stomach, and I felt nauseous. He stood around 3.5 foot tall, and he was looking through our glass window in the front door. He was gone before I had a chance to get a clear image, but he reminded me of a huge toddler. I know that sounds odd, but it's what I saw. I wonder if that's, since this is out of Hawaii, I wonder if that's a menehune. They may be spiritual as well. But anyway, what the heck was that? I said to my husband, who was sitting on the couch. It made my skin crawl, but I wasn't sure why. When I explained what I had seen, my husband didn't know what to say. He was used to me explaining the traveling ghosts, but this creature was different. It felt evil. A short, distorted, fleshy, pink, naked person who stops by and then disappears. Well, this isn't my usual haunting. I fear this isn't a good thing, and am I about to experience an attack of sorts? I've had demonic creatures try to bother me in the past, but this one stood on my front porch. They never make it past my property line. In the past, they've been afraid to get too close. I have a sword and shield of God on my interior walls, and I wear it in my soul. I guess I need to do another walkthrough of my property and strengthen my spiritual borders. I live by some lost souls in my neighborhood, and they attract the worst of the worst evil. These neighbors are stuck within their drug and alcohol abuse, and I get to live amidst these problems they attract. Hawaii has a high incidence of drug and alcohol use. We live in a beautiful neighborhood overlooking the ocean, and most of the people in this neighborhood have come from other mainland states. Everyone comes here to get away from the mainland problems, but they don't leave theirs behind. I get pulled in all directions when the abuse gets rolling. I can smell the taste the drugs and booze, and it makes me dizzy as they get high. On those days, I hop in my car and drive towards the sea. It's difficult to be a sensitive in this neighborhood. It's difficult being a sensitive, period. The entities surround these individuals are not good. There's a lot of evil around me, and they know who I am. My husband and me, we don't drink or smoke, and we most certainly do not do any drugs. It makes it harder to be attacked when you don't give evil any ammunition. Smoking drugs, taking drugs, or drinking alcohol to inebriation, it makes you vulnerable to the evil in this world. In my home, we are strong, but those dark creatures, they try to attack us anyway. We bring prayer into our home on a daily basis, and believe me, when I say it works. Let me try to explain. It's like being in a small boat in the middle of a stormy sea. The boat is being tossed about like a small toy, and the sky is pelting you with rain, and the lightning strikes are getting closer and closer. Now imagine a strong pair of hands scooping you up each time a wave threatens to topple you into the ocean, but allows the lightning strikes around your boat. I said that just like a Minnesotan, a boat. This describes my life within this neighborhood and my life in this physical world. I think evil is growing bolder as I have experienced some bouts of physical ill health. And this is when the bad otherworldly beings attempt to strike me down. The evil on the other side, it lies in wait of our weaknesses. I pray more, try to forget my ills for a while, and hold my shield of protection even tighter to my body. For those of you that do not believe evil exists, please do not bother to comment. I've seen it throughout my life, and it's very real. You will not change my viewpoint. I have gifts to help others, but when it comes to myself, I'm not allowed to see the answers, but I do know how to pray. I know what might keep the evil at bay, but it doesn't always work right away. The evil ones will keep on trying, and I will keep fighting them. These are my life lessons on this individual road I walk. Doesn't make it an easy walk, especially when I'm not feeling well. Do any other gifted individuals see what this naked creature on my porch is planning? I need some insight. Wow. That's incredible. We do have a call, though. Let me get to the call and see what's going on here. And this is area code 973. You're on the air.
Hello?
Hey.
Brent?
Yes.
Hi, this is Santino.
This is who? I'm sorry?
Santino? This is Santino.
Shantino?
From New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Welcome. Great to have you on the show. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, I've called you a couple times in the past about the New Jersey Devil on my roof and
yes.
the other story.
Yes.
I have a treat for you.
Okay.
A friend I know, his name is Mark Riola. I known him for 25 years. He's a really good guy. And he's in my band, and we're writing a song called Paranormal Portal. And he told me a couple really cool stories. He tried to get in touch with you a couple times, but I guess he couldn't get through. But I'm going to have him call in the next minute. He's got like 3 really cool, true stories to tell you.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Put him.
I mean, is that okay?
That's beautiful. I'd love to hear it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Brent. I'm going to have him call. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to him soon.
All right.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There'll be a call coming in just moments, and we'll be treated to some news stories. That story is cool. That I just read. I think it's very powerful. Again, the chemicals. Again, I grew up with a lot of esoteric tradition, and one thing that I was always taught was the chemicals, drugs, alcohol abuse. That does create holes in your energy. It creates holes in your aura, and it allows things to get in, and it makes your normal protective barriers much weaker. I was warned away from spending a lot of time in bars and hospitals. Those are two places that I was specifically warned about because there are lots of things lurking around in those areas, and no ill will meant towards hospitals. Of course, they're doing the best they can, but there's a lot of pain and suffering and people that are really in weak conditions. So there's the call. I see it just came in. So let's get to this. This is area code 201. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm Santino's friend. It is Mark.
Hey, Mark.
I guess Santino told you about me.
Yes, brother. I'm anxious to hear what you got.
Yeah, well, I've had some experiences, I guess you could say, of seems sort of like almost like a parallel dimension that's like next to us that we can't see it, but it's pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This happened, and these things seem to happen when I was like under a lot of stress, under a lot of like duress and stuff like that.
Okay.
I was living with my father at the time, and he just got divorced, and I was doing construction work. And I was tired. I was hungry. Somebody told me, I don't know if you heard this story, if you're into any religion or anything like that, but they say that you're not really supposed to eat any meat that has the blood in it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because if it has the blood in it, they say part of the soul of the animal might still be in the blood.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But anyway, so one day I was working with my father, and I was tired. I was hungry. He cooked this steak for me, but I don't think he cooked it that well. It was probably really rare,
Okay.
But I was just hungry anyway, so I just ate it.
Uh-huh.
And that I was sleeping that night, and I couldn't sleep really. I was tossing and turning. I was sweating,
Okay.
And this is one of the stories that Tino wanted me to tell you about.
Sure.
But anyway, so I'm just sitting, I'm laying in my bed, and it feels like something's laying on my chest. Something like warm and heavy.
Uh-huh.
But it felt like a hand cut just left on my chest. I'm like, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah.
And I was awake. See, these things usually happen when you're like, awake, but not totally, you know what I'm saying? You're like in between. You're like almost like a daze almost,
Sure.
So I took this thing, wherever it was, and I was living in this house in Wayne. It was actually in a flood area.
Okay.
And the floor was like hardwood with like a light linoleum on top.
Okay.
So anyway, I took this thing, whatever it was, and I threw it on the floor next to my bed. And I heard it hit the floor with a thud. Poop, like that. I was like, what the hell? And I was like shaking. I was like sweating and shaking.
Right.
And I called my older brother. I said, Mike, come here. I want something next to my bed. I want you to tell me what it is because I didn't even want to look.
Sure. Yeah, I don't blame you.
And he came. Yeah. So he came in and says, there's nothing there. So I said, Mike, I heard it hit the floor. So it's like this thing, whatever it was, maybe it was the meat from the animal or whatever like that, had to come out. The cow or whatever had to come out of my body somehow.
Okay.
And this is like a metaphysical, I think, type thing that happened to me.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah, it was I was scared. I was freaking out. I was shaking. I was sweating like crazy.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
You were purging.
That's one thing that happened.
Yeah, you were purging that out then.
Yeah.
Right.
See, and also down in my mother's basement. I used to live in my mother's basement in Southbrook. I lived in Jersey a lot of years. I've been going like 7 parts of Jersey.
Okay.
But anyway, I had a weird experience too. I had one of those things where I was like paralyzed. I was really trying to move out of my bed, but I couldn't move. I was trying to get up, but something felt like it was holding me down.
Sure.
And then I heard like flapping, like big wings, like a bat's wings, flying across my basement.
Oh no!
And I was like, what the frig is that?
Yeah, that's horrible. Wow.
I was like, no way. I was like, this I felt a very negative presence down in that basement. I swear, I lived there too long. It was like
Yeah.
the basement wasn't even finished. It was like cinder blocks, and there was water coming through the cinder blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, and I'm lucky I didn't have no freaking rheumatoid or rheumatoid arthritis or whatever you get with that shit living down there. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty crazy.
So yeah,
Did it break then all of a sudden? Or
yes.
how did that end?
What's it? Well, it did. You know, it's just like it passed. You know,
Okay.
I woke up after that. And I don't know if I was awake or I was trying to be awake or I was
Sure.
in between somewhere. You know.
Right, just
Yeah,
stuck there.
and yeah, because that's when it seems to happen. It's like when you're semi-awake or you're going through an emotional state or something like that.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Then
Absolutely.
you start seeing things and feeling things that you wouldn't normally.
Yes, I agree.
Mm.
Yep.
Right.
Wow, that's intense.
So
Very
there's
cool.
another one.
Yes, sir.
Right, where I was walking through the woods where I used to live when I was young in North Hilton.
Okay.
I think that's where it was. But anyway, I was walking out in the woods. I told Tina about this. This made him smile. But anyway, I was looking. And I was just like thinking about something. I was like mad about something. I don't know what it was. I was just like pounding. You know, and I was really angry.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just turned around real quick, and I seen a little guy, a little person.
Wow.
But they were like, it wasn't like a normal person. I'd say about 4.5 tall, but maybe 2.
Okay.
But it was like chunky too, like a fat little dumpy character, whatever it was.
Okay.
And it walked like a wobble. It wobbled. It
Okay.
didn't walk like it just kind of like wobbled back and forth, and it walked behind a rock.
That's
And that
really
was
cool.
that was the end of that experience. But that was kind of weird. He's like, it was funny. Like it feels like you can't see. It was like almost like I could, but at the same time, it was like almost like looking through a different dimension or something.
Oh, I was going to ask you
You
about
know,
that.
it's like
Yeah, that's really cool though. Because did he have a beard? Was there any physical features that you noticed, or?
I like I said, the only thing I noticed he was very short. I mean, he was stubby. Like stubby I think he had almost like overalls on or something.
Huh.
But and it was like, and he just like looked at me, and like he was surprised that I could see him or something like that. Yeah. He had like a surprised look on his face, and I was like, I just looked at him and I said, this is nothing you see every day. I don't think this. I said, you know, this is not a normal thing that you see every day. You don't see little guys like it must have, you know, it kind of reminded me like the Hobbit, like a Hobbit.
Right. I think
They made the whole series about hobbits, you know.
yeah. Well, I think you saw possibly a gnome, brother. You know the gnome.
A gnome, or probably or a gnome, maybe,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, with that height and with that description, that really sounds like what people see when they're witnessing the gnomes, and like they look like, you know, kind of like the
Right.
garden gnomes. They, you know, a lot of times they have the pointy hats on too, but they have a lot of times
Right.
beards and the very very short and very cool though.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
really awesome. I love that. I think that's incredibly powerful. That's something that I would love to see. You know, and I hope, like, there's different kinds. There's some kinds that are real gentle and kind and nice, and then there's other
Cool.
kinds of them that are
Yeah.
alleged to be really horrible. Like they hate people, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can imagine that too. Yeah.
but this thing just
Yeah.
looked and saw you and just kind of kept on its way going. And how did that end?
Yeah, he kind of like looked at me.
Yeah.
Huh?
Keep going.
Well, like I said, I wasn't even thinking about it that much. I was just like, I just looked at him like it's kind of like it's something like it's like a sixth sense, I guess you could call it. Like
Mhm.
I knew it was there. You know, it's almost like I was sensing it rather than seeing it at the same time.
Sure.
You know, because I knew something was watching me. You know, because I was just like, you know, I was pouting. I was thinking about something like real negative, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, also I turn around and this thing just looking at me. I'm like, say, what are you looking at? That's what I was thinking in my mind. I said, who are you looking at?
Now, when you saw
And
it,
it's like he's just like, oh, I'm just looking.
did it look like it was totally physical, or did it, like you said, you might have been looking into
I
another
think
dimension?
it was. I think it was. I think it was. I mean, it's hard to say.
Okay.
But I know it was like walking like in an unusual manner, like not like like, you know, it was kind of like wobbling. It wasn't like, you know, like, you know how people walk, you know,
Yeah.
like regularly walk straight. It was just kind of like going from side to side, like wobbling, like yeah. And it's
Yeah.
walking and it kind of walked like real quick, and it's kind of disappeared on me.
That's awesome. So when it disappeared, did it just go out of sight, or did it just blink out of existence?
Yeah, it went like behind a rock. It walked down
Okay.
the hill behind a
Okay.
rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just kind of kept
And
on
I,
its way.
I didn't really, for some reason, I didn't make no attempt to follow him or like that. For some reason, I
Sure.
just like I was in a bad mood. I was like,
Sure. No, I think that's the right
I
move.
just,
I think following them can be dangerous because you don't know which ones they are. You know, they could be the ones trying to lure you to your death, or they could just be doing their own thing.
yeah. Well, he didn't seem like the most friendliest character. I'll tell you that much. He just seemed like he was like curious or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He's
No,
like, oh, I'm just looking at you. I said, what are you looking at? It's like I was mad. I was so mad. I was worried about it. I mean, I found it very strange. You know, of course. I mean, you don't see this kind of stuff every day.
right.
You know, but I just thought about it. You know, just recently. I said, yeah, I did see that thing. I mean, I never told too many people about it, and you know, sometimes I think people probably would think I'm a little kooky or something like that.
Sure.
But
Well, you came to the right place because we don't think you're hooky at all, brother. We think that, I mean, I believe that stuff is out there. I just, I would love to.
yeah,
I'd love to be able to see it through your eyes. To see what you saw and experienced.
true, true.
But I think that's
There wasn't there
good.
wasn't there was another time where I did see what we would consider a UFO.
Okay.
You know, I did see that. I remember seeing that too, and it was funny because I was out in Los Angeles at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is after I got in the military.
Okay.
I was in the military for a couple of years,
Gotcha.
and I had me and my car shipped from actually Hawaii to California, right?
Yep.
And I was driving on the freeway somewhere in California, and I was driving a man and his wife to work.
Oh, okay.
You know, and this thing came it was flying very low, and it flew seemed like just like maybe a half a mile over the telephone pole,
Wow.
and it had smoke coming off of it, and it looked like an eclipse at the time. Like you see on the outside was bright orange, and the inside was dark,
Right.
right? And then when it stopped, though, it started glowing like a bright orange, and it was up in the mountains, like in front of us.
Wow.
You know? And I even pointed out to a friend of the guy in the car and the wife. I said, "What is that?" I said, I think that's got to be a UFO over there. And you know what they told me?
What?
Like, yeah, we see them all the time.
Oh, really?
I'm like, what? I said, serious? I said, I don't see them all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like this. Yeah, we see them all the time. I said, what do you mean you see them all the time? I want to see that thing. She said, no, my wife's got to get to work. So I had to get off the exit.
That's intense. That's great
So
stories.
it's like these things are around us. I think all the time. It's like I think they do it on purpose. They want everybody. Maybe they want people to ignore them or something like that. Whatever these things are that we see, these
Yeah.
these things beyond our everyday life or whatever like that.
I gotta say though, I've never heard of people that just kind of dismiss it like, oh yeah, it's like seeing a seagull. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're here all the time.
There you go.
That's
Well,
bizarre.
L.A. I think it's pretty like a hotbed for that kind of stuff. I mean, because especially that's close to New Mexico, or wherever like that over there.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, New Mexico is more in the middle of the country, I know.
Well,
but
there's
but that part in the West, I think they see them a lot out there for some reason.
yeah, and there's the belief. Some people believe that like if you go out into the ocean off of L.A., there's like a shelf, and they believe that there's something underneath L.A. maybe. Like if you could take a submarine and go right under the city, apparently there's a big cavern under there, and there's been speculation that there's aliens down there. I mean, who knows, right?
Huh. Well, when I was out there, there was a lot of weird characters where I was in LA too,
Sure.
and one person said, "Oh, you know that we're on a spaceship."
Oh.
They said they were on a spaceship, and I noticed too when I was out there that the ground is always shaking.
Oh.
It always has little tremors. There's always little tremors. It's always shaking,
Huh.
and I don't know. I mean, that's Tino was saying the same thing. They say theory. You know that if the Earth is actually like an oval shape,
Uh-huh.
that we could actually be on a big ship.
Wow.
Yes, the whole thing's a big ship.
Well, yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Right. That's
Yeah.
an interesting perspective. I mean, there is the hollow earth theory too, right? So there's a lot of people that
Oh, yeah.
believe
Oh, yeah.
there's civilizations underneath us. And that's pretty cool.
True.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah. I've heard about that too.
yeah. You've got some
Yeah. Matter of fact, I studied that kind of stuff too, and actually I seen there was like a chart where they said that the inside there is actually hollow, and
Yeah.
inside there's like a center sun,
Yes. Yep.
and the sun puts a light on the inside shell.
Yep.
So people are living inside, and they have a little sun in the middle.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's pretty wild.
there is, but interestingly
pretty wild.
enough, we had a gentleman named Brooks Agnew on the show, and he's trying to form an expedition to go check out the Hollow Earth. But he said that there's seismographs in the ocean that have caught the sound of waves hitting a shore from inside the Earth. Like there's an in underground ocean. So I mean,
Huh.
hell, it's all possible, right?
Right, man. Like I said, I think there's a lot of stuff that we, that, like I said, a lot of people they're dismissing it, and it's like, it's really seismic, like big stuff that's going on, and it's like,
Right.
and it's like beyond our grasp, and and like they're caught up in their own protection, their own safety, their own, that's especially nowadays with this freaking pandemic.
Right.
It's like, they're just worried about surviving as a meat and flesh, flesh and bone, whatever.
Right.
It's like they're not thinking about, and then meanwhile, what blows my mind it drives me nuts too, is thinking, oh well, the world's going to hell, but no, they're going to space. They're worried about they're going to freaking Mars. They're going to go to Mars. Send these people to Mars. They're all happy about that. They got tears in their eyes at the full.
Wow.
So they're so happy to be going up there. The hell with the Earth, go to Mars.
Well, there's
like, okay.
There's some people I'd be
Spend
happy to have
billions of
go.
dollars to send people to Mars.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Brother.
Meanwhile, the economy's tanking. The economy's going to the toilet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, we're so happy. We're going to Mars. That's like Tito played me with video about these white dudes, like a comedy.
Yeah.
It's like they're going to Mars. They got like the American flag, and it's like, oh, check all your issues. We don't care crap about that. We're going to freaking moon, man. We're going to the freaking moon.
Yeah. Shoot for the stars. Absolutely. That's really cool, man. I'm really glad that you decided to keep trying because I'm sorry that you weren't able to get through any other time, but yeah, I'm thrilled to hear these stories, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad to talk to you. Because like I said, sometimes in your own mind, it's like you feel like you're trapped, and it's just not enough people thinking about similar stuff like you.
Yeah.
They'll just tell you you're nuts. That's all.
Well, yeah, you're our kind of nuts. If you're nuts, you're our kind of nuts. So, well, thank you for the call.
The other dimension. Look at the other dimensions.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But, I do want to hear that song that you guys are writing.
Oh, all right. Definitely. Yeah. We put it all together. Yeah.
Absolutely, brother. Well, thanks again for
Well,
calling.
it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, you too, brother. Take care, and you guys have a great night.
Hey, you too. Thanks, man.
All right, see you now.
That's all.
Very cool. Very cool. I love these calls. That is awesome. Yeah. I think the world could be hollow. I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but if you ever find yourself interested to check out old episodes, look for The Science of the Paranormal. It's an early episode we did. It was an interview with Brooks Agnew, and we did one more. I know he came back twice at least, maybe 3 times, but twice. So as you look through our archives, if you find episodes with Brooks Agnew, this guy is brilliant. He talks about so many incredible things. He can cite scientific examples of tests that were done to validate, and there's so much to it. But he really is trying to put together an expedition to go check for the Hollow Earth, and I think that is amazing. Hell, if I was in a position to fund or help fund something like that, I would, because I think there's a lot going on here we don't know, folks. We're just living on the shell, but I think there's a whole lot more going on this planet, not only in this reality and dimension, but I think there's multiple realities all around us that, we just aren't aware of. So, yeah, I mean, that stuff to me is really exciting. I love that gnome story too. I think that's incredible. I am envious of people that have seen those things, because it's exceptionally rare that people have these moments of seeing what could very well be these gnomes. And I know it sounds way out there, but remember, folks, there's stories of these creatures going back into antiquity and cultures around the world of these small creatures, these small beings. And, they've got to be built on something. And then if you look at the Homo floresiensis out of Indonesia, which has skeletal evidence of these little hominid creatures that live there. And they still have legends of the orang pendek over there in Indonesia. So people are still seeing them allegedly, but yeah, time will tell. But I think we got a lot to learn, and I'm all for us, putting more resources and energy into cracking this strangeness around us. And that's kind of the scope of the show, is at least to have discussions. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back tomorrow night with 2 hours of the portal on our Friday night network show. That'll be simulcast right here on YouTube as well, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube. There's a portal happening on Wednesday through Sunday, so I hope you guys will come check it out. But I think I know a gnome. Cha-Cha knows a gnome. You know a gnome? You don't know no gnomes. You don't know no gnomes. I'm just kidding. All right, but that's all I got, folks. So, thanks you too, Titan. Appreciate it. I'm always glad to look up and see so many people coming in and checking it out. So tomorrow night, Friday night, right here, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be back 2 hours. Hope you'll join me. That's about all I got. New podcast part 2. The bonus episode is released today. So if you heard part 1 on Sunday, check it out on all the major platforms. iHeart, iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, and more and more and more. We're out there. Wherever you find podcasts, look for the Paranormal Portal. But part 2 released today, so check it out, please. We'd love for you to check it out. And if you're a Stitcher listener, if you listen to your podcast on Stitchers and you check out our podcast, if you like it, leave us a good review, would you please? We're kind of new to Stitcher, so we're trying to establish a presence. So, all right, guys, love you bunches. Keep spreading the word about the portal. Check out the Teespring site, and I love you bunches. I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody. Sweet dreams.